Howdy, Possum Patty here, and today I have a chatty flip through of my Hello Autumn Journal. Now I've been calling these hashtag Friday flip through, but then I found out that Christina down at the shack is doing a hashtag flip through Friday. So I guess that's the same thing. So I went ahead and added an extra hashtag to all of my hashtags for hashtag Friday flip through and hashtag flip through Friday. So let's just go with both of those. And I will link Christina's channel below, and she does do the chatty flip throughs of her junk journals. So today we're just going to go, like I said, through the Hello Autumn Junk Journal. So we'll go over to the table and get to it. So this is my Hello Autumn Journal, and the cover is basically Dollar Tree, Dollar Tree, Dollar Tree, Dollar Tree. So the band is a Dollar Tree headband. These come 3 in a package, different colors. The Hello Autumn is a little wooden laser cut that I painted and sparkled. I might have used my glitter markers on this, but I'll link the video below when I made the cover. It's made out of a bubble envelope. And the material are all the fat quarters from the Dollar Tree. And I found the one that had the gnome, so I just had to get it. And of course the sunflowers and the pumpkins. And this one has mushrooms and leaves. And then I cut a few of these little squares out and put them on the front. I did hand stitching, slow stitching around the squares. And then these little sunflowers are also from the Dollar Tree, and I hand stitched on the petals of the flower. And then I put a little bit of this sparkle on the center of the flowers, but it looks like it's come off. I'll have to put some more sparkle on there. I kind of wore it out journaling in it. So I hand stitched all around the edge with nice big orange stitches, and then I took my machine and just did some random kind of quilting. You can see here quilting all around on the back too. I used orange embroidery thread to sew around and to put in the signatures. The inside of the cover has more of that material with just random stitching. Did some zigzag down here, some up and down there, hand stitching around. And the back is the same. And this journal has 2 signatures. And each signature has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sheets in it. So 2 signatures, 6 sheets in each, and that makes for a very chunky journal. Of course, you can, I make it chunky as I go along. The first page, I really wanted to show this from the scrapbook paper I put in here from the Michaels collection. So I was looking for something small to put on this page. And I did use the cut apart that says Welcome Fall with the pumpkin. And I used this sticker as a little thing to hold the flap. And I put in a picture of my outstanding gourd that I found at the orchard early in the season. And a photo of the mums and the little pumpkins on my front steps. And again, I've got the pumpkin and gourd paper that matches this paper here. And I tucked that in. And I had die cut this background, this brown here, and I wrote on here with a pen, Autumn 2022, and I added some yarn at the top. But the tag is pasted down like that, and I have a couple more stickers down here, little mushrooms and little apples that are falling out of the apple basket up there. This is a page from a brochure for Mount Cuba Gardens, and it was about fall gardening. And I just love the ferns when they turn yellow, and it has the purple asters. And then this was gifted to me, this paper here. And I put this vellum mushroom sticker, and I made a little journaling card. This was August 15th. And there's one yellow fern in the middle of the field of ferns. And I said that somebody has to go first, right? Someone's got to be the first to turn yellow. So just the beginning of fall right there. And I have a lot of fall festivals in here. This is Skamitzen. It's the Feast of Green Corn and Dance. This is a Native American fall festival. And this is held at the cultural grounds of Foxwoods Casino. And this was in late August. And these are from the brochure. And this is a picture of Possum Patty. See how small I am down there? That's just to give you an idea of how big their sign was. Just beautiful, beautiful picture. There. The eagle and the star in the background and the dancers and the corn. And some of this was here, this pocket with the gold dots, I believe was here. And I put some grass from a scrapbook page in the background. I added some 3D feathers from the Dollar Tree there. And I made a journaling folder here. And this was a woman, Julia Martin, and she's showing the crafts that she did with the gourds. And making the baskets to store the food in. You can see that. Kind of small, I know. And I actually had a basket on a piece of scrapbook paper, so I cut that out and put it on this paper. And I did a really fancy stitch on my machine around the edge. And then I have some yarn up there, some sparkly yarn. And this tells the story of the three sisters. This is Native American gardening practice. And we have the maize, which is the corn. And then below the maize, we plant the beans, which then grow up the stalks of corn. And then on the bottom, you have the vines of the squash. So the three sisters that grow together in the garden are the corn, the beans, and the squash. And again, I use those baskets paper as background. You can see the stitching on this side. And on the back is a picture of the women doing the green corn dance, or the offerings here. They got the corn and the gourds in the basket. And this is from the brochure about the trails that they have, the Peacock Trails. And I did this one because it has this big rock. I cut this out of a brochure because I have a picture of Mr. Possum. He's got his powwow shirt on. It's probably hard to see. Leaning up against one of those big rocks. And then I have a little map of the trails. This is part of the trail that I went on. I kind of walked it myself when Mr. Possum sat on the bench. And the background is from the Gnome Book, and this is from a brochure about Walktober. And then this is a separate sticker that says peace. Again, I used that because it was a rock. And somebody had gifted me this plastic with the gold dots. I thought it matched this background perfectly, and yet you can see what I put in the pocket. See the rocks there. I love the way that page came together. And here's my grandniece on her first day of kindergarten. And I got this off an old calendar, and I just put in some pictures of her getting on the bus on her first day of kindergarten. And this is a belly band made with that squash and gourd paper. I love this. I love the combination of this paisley with all the houndstooth checks and flowers. I just love the way it all goes together. And then this side is just a colorful Virginia creeper vine growing up on a rock. This is down at the end of my road. And something I never thought about before, but Virginia creepers are related to grapes, and they actually get little grapes on them. But you can't eat these grapes. They're toxic to people. They're for the birds. So I call this one of my mystery pages because you don't know what this page is about until you pull out the card and say, oh, okay. Usually you can look at the page and know right away what it's about. This came out of a book. It's a book page. This is a cluster I made, I think, last year. I tried my hand at making some clusters. Woodland Feast for Local Critters, and I have a picture of the hickory nuts and a picture of the wild grapes that grow here at Soggy Bottom. And of course I had to put in my possum, and I put in my gray squirrel. Many animals eat the nuts and the grapes. Besides the raccoons, the possums, and the squirrels, other animals eat them too. So that's a fall event, right, when the grapes ripen and the hickory nuts fall. Something else we do in the fall is go to the orchard. This is a New England tradition. Everybody has to go out to the orchard and pick some apples. And we went to 2 different orchards this day, and this one had a lot of flowers. Very colorful. I printed this out. So I did a little something different on these pages. Instead of using just the small picture from my Canon Ivy mini printer, I printed the picture out very large and used it as a background for the page. And I did that with this one too. I printed out a big one and then put the picture down here. The big one you can see more of the detail. And then I put the picture to show how big it is or how small I am, one or the other. Now the center had this Grateful and Blessed. And this is a 12 by 12 that I had to cut down and put in here. So I was wondering how I can use it in my journal. And my journals aren't 12 by 12. Well, I do have one that's 12 by 12, but not this one. So I cut off the top and used it for this little flip at the bottom. And I say, I am grateful and blessed for my sisters. I wrote this in. And then I put a picture of us at a sister lunch. And then I put a older picture of us. Has to be the 80s. Look at the big hair. Yes, that's got to be in the 80s. And then on this side, I got another picture of us. We're all dancing at a wedding. And we're dancing to We Are Family. I've got all my sisters with me. And this is me and my sister there in the yellow taking my mom for a walk. It was a beautiful day. And this door is from a scrapbook page. And I open it up. And this is about my pumpkin patch harvest. And out of my whole pumpkin patch this year, I got one little pumpkin. There's a picture of it. So my harvest was 1 6-inch cutie pumpkin. I don't think they were supposed to be that small. I know there's miniature pumpkins, but I don't think this pumpkin was supposed to be that small. So this was a pre-made tag I journaled on. I put a little ribbon up there. I put a background. This door, I just cut it around. And I think I put something there to reinforce it a little bit. I lined it with paper. And then the pumpkin was on the page. It just, I moved it over a little bit so it would hold the door shut. And I had to modify the door. The door was longer. I might have modified the door and then I moved the steps up below it. So you can see the doorknob is way down here. This is a hobbit door, right? Because the doorknob is so far down. All right, this was a really fun I took a pattern from a tissue box and I painted it on some paper. This is gouache, and I printed with apples. It came out very, very bright. I want to try this again with some different colors. And this is all about making a gluten-free crust apple pie with apples I got at the orchard. And this is you pull it out and there's all the steps of making the pie down to enjoying it warm with some ice cream. So these are all the steps of how I made the pie, and TT the kitty supervising. And there's nothing on this side but painty paper. I could add something if I want, but the journal is already so thick I probably will not. And these pictures, I also printed them out with my printer onto matte photo cardstock. Now I have a magnet in there to hold all this closed. This is a piece of that paper that was way back here with the little scrap left from that page with the purple asters and the ferns. I wanted to use that. This is a real mashup of a page. I just went crazy with colors and papers and just put them all in here. Although these ferns actually kind of match all that, don't they? And I said A is for asters, and I put some information from my nature book about asters. I use this purple paper. And on this side I have a picture of some asters I found in my yard with the golden ferns. And these were asters that I planted. So these are cultivated asters and these are wild asters. A for asters. And then this is ferns that were in the yard. This is my photograph here. And I made a little flip like this. And this comes out. And I've got my goldenrod there. This was a window cling I got at Dollar Tree. And these are goldenrods. Asters, ferns, and goldenrods bringing color to the season. And I got another A here for some more asters. And these are a different kind of asters. These are wood asters. Those are white, where the ones over here are the purple kind. And this is a calendar that was gifted to me. And this is another fall activity. And this is the Mooncake Festival, or the Happy Moon Festival, or the Mid-Autumn Festival in the Asian tradition. And this was held in Fairfield, Connecticut on September 10th. And there's me and my little sister, Mr. Possum, in the background with a peace sign. We're eating some rice. And I love this. This was all gifted to me. Most of the stuff was gifted to me when I had my birthday giveaway. And it was an Asian spring theme for my Asian glue book. And these are the dancers, scarf dancers. Happy Moon, this was their brochure. Jubilation, joy, and a prosperous home. And this was gifted to me from a beautiful paper pack. Well, I took that fish and I cut it out and I put it on this material, make a flip. I added a little paper border up there. And then underneath, now this is a calligrapher who was at the festival. And a woman too. But that gentleman's holding it up. And this calligraphy is actual calligraphy done for me by a student that I had many years ago. And he did this and brought it in and gave it to me, Chinese calligraphy there. So, and this is, when I have, this was gifted to me too. It's like some origami paper in the background, really pretty colors. This is a children's story book page. And this is a little girl who was at the festival, and I cut her out and just added her to the storybook page. Looks like she belongs there. And this is the actual moon cake. And that dragon dish is my dragon dish that was left to me by my aunt who passed away. When she passed away, she gave me her dragon dishes set. These dishes were bought post-World War II, occupied Japan. My uncle was in the Navy right after World War II. Some paper that was gifted to me, and I did this round because of the moon cake. I wanted everything to be a little round there. And here's some more of that dragon Japanese tea set. And there's the moon cake, what it looks like on the inside. So moon cakes are filled with bean paste and salted cured duck eggs. Just in case you were wondering, this was all gifted to me at my birthday last year. So now we're moving on to some journaling here about feeding the birds. So the hummingbird feeders came down and the suet cakes went up. And just a picture of me doing all that. And here's some of that really pretty material. I just thought I'd put a big ruffle up there. I thought the colors went really nice with this paper. Now, I wanted to keep these two images on this scrapbooking paper, but the background was just this very light color. So I decided to rip some colorful paper and add it to there. And then I added some more of that material over here, just to make the pages more colorful. And I cut out some of these pumpkins from a different paper pack page. Added those up there too. And this goes with this. Just a different pattern. I've been really mixing up my patterns and colors lately. And this is just my daisies blooming. October, my daisies bloom in October. And this is a friend of ours. It says black velvet. Black velvet. Now I wanted to do this in black velvet, but I used black felt, right? So our friend is an Elvis impersonator, and he plays guitar, he sings. He also impersonates, you know, like Johnny Cash, a bunch of other singers. He wrote a song about Pink Floyd. That's why that's there. And then I have this little record player sticker, and I have a brick wall to kind of go with this. This I just printed off on the cardstock. And Mr. Possum and his two buddies there, and he hadn't seen him probably in 50 years. So it was a little bit of a reunion for these guys. And then something else we like to do in the fall is go to the Big E Fair, which is in Massachusetts, but it's the New England States Expo. So you have Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut all represented at this fair. And they have, each state has its own state house, and when you go into that state house, you're actually in that state because that state owns that property. So I picked up a bunch of brochures. So in Rhode Island, I got the Jack-o'-lantern Spectacular or Spooktacular, and that is where we met Stanley. And I put him in that television set because here's Lucille Ball. Their theme this year was old TV shows, so I put Flat Stanley. That's a copy of the cover of the book. And there I am in the Pumpkin Spectacular with the pumpkin tree. Flat Stanley is a children's book character, and he got crushed by a bulletin board, and he got flattened out, and he would mail himself in an envelope and go on all kinds of adventures. And teacher would give the students a Flat Stanley to take home and write about what adventures they went on. This particular flat Stanley that I have has gone all the way to China and back, and Florida and a lot of other places, from karate lessons to baseball games, or just sitting and doing homework with the students in the class. This is the mascot for the Big E, but I love fall most of all. It just goes by too quickly, and I just put things that I collected at the fair in here. So we have, this is Massachusetts and Vermont, and this one's Maine. So just some mementos from the fair. So they have, you know, like a tourist counter when you go in the state houses, and you can collect all the stuff from each state. And they also have food from each state. So here is the White Mountains in New Hampshire. And just some journaling about how when you're in the houses, you're actually in that state. So when you're in one house, Vermont is only 30 feet away, and Maine's only 169 feet away. It's just funny. So this is a little brochure. You open it up, and there's a picture of me with Stanley in New Hampshire. And this one is Vermont, and in the Vermont house, they have a pickle booth. And there's Stanley with the pickles. Beautiful foliage, his brochure. And this opens up on the back. This is from a Dollar Tree calendar, farmer's market calendar. And this is the brochure from Connecticut, and it talks about all the apples and what you use them for, whether you want to eat them or cook with them. Recipes on there too. And Stanley and the Connecticut farm, so he's on the tractor. Grown in Connecticut. This is Stanley at the Car Museum. This was a World War I weekend at the American Heritage Museum. And Stanley's favorite car is the Stanley Steamer. Now this page with these old race cars is from a 1938 book for Boys and Men's Stories. And I put that down on the page first, and then I added Stanley and Stanley's car. This is part of the story from that book. And this is a copy of a photo of Vito Antonio Cartucci, 1917. I put that in here because that's a World War I photo, and it was World War I weekend. And there's Stanley. Let's see, I can't only bend this a certain way because of the lights. So I try to get it in this way, and I get glare. There we go. Anyway, sorry about that. This is the brochure, and then you open it up, and I tell this whole funny story about me and ambulances and what all this means. You'll have to watch the video because it's Mr. Possum got the ambulance driver from the World War I ambulance to let me sit in there and take a picture, and even have a World War I helmet on because I was in the civil defense and disaster relief as an ambulance EMT back in the day. And here's a picture of baby Possum Patty on her dad's airplane. I just thought that kind of fit in there with all this airplane business. So we're in the center of the second signature now, and I have another one of those 12 by 12 pages that we never know what to do with. So I put it right in the center of the signature, cut off the top, and put it down at the bottom again. And this was for my great niece's birthday. And I put all the pictures. That's when she was born. And there she is now. And we had the pizza truck from New Haven. And there's the sisters at the birthday party. We have some nature journaling. And I took my sunflowers that I grew, and when they got their seeds, I put them out on the picnic table for the birds. And I sat there with a sheet over my head, and those are the tufted titmouse and the white, oh, sorry about the glare, white-breasted nuthatch. And there's me getting seeds out of the sunflower heads. Feed the birds. So this is from that new paper pack from Michael's with the roses and the crows. Got nice black sparkly ribbon there. And I like this paper with the roses and the mushrooms and the little spiders. All very October. I planted some bulbs this year. So this is the packaging. And this is all supposed to be like deer proof or deer resistant. I took the handle from the packaging and made a tag over here. And just some pictures of me putting the bulbs in the ground. And you can use that handle to turn the page. Did some crocus and some iris and daffodils and muscari. And that's that. And here's another cluster that I had made, I think last year. Some ribbon and another page from the Mount Cuba. Mount Cuba is like a giant garden with the art studio and classes for gardening and classes for art. And I have a picture of the blueberry bush leaf, bright red, and poison ivy. And this is a picture of a mushroom my sister took up in New Hampshire. And these are mushrooms in my front yard. So I took the picture that she took and enlarged it and used it as a background. And then in the pocket on this page, this is an old photo I had of milkweed opening up and the seeds starting to come out. And I had picked some milkweed pods to plant in the yard. And I put this on some jelly print paper. I just thought the colors said fall. So planting bulbs is a fall activity. Seeing mushrooms is really a fall activity too. So another fall activity in this area is the Scotland Highland Festival. And Mr. Possum and I took Stanley there. But you can see all the pictures and hear about our adventure. I will link all the videos below. And here's Stanley with the mascot for the McLeods. And Scotland, Stanley in Scotland, Connecticut. Now this is only a couple miles away. Well, Scotland is really down the road, but the festival is a few miles away. And we had never been before, so that was very exciting. Got to meet Clan MacLeod. And here's a tartan for Clan MacLeod. I used plaids from the paper pack, from a Christmas paper pack, except for this one, which is the MacLeod tartan. I had to print that one out. Added black sparkly ribbon, of course. Of course, of course. This is a special MacLeod tartan on the 100th anniversary of the society, MacLeod Society. And I have a photo of the lass playing her bagpipe. And information about the clans here. And there's the MacLeod symbol there. And this postcard of a castle in Scotland. And the very last page is about the first frost in autumn. I found this really nice vintage Jack Frost image with a poem, Jack Frost in the Garden. I made a little folder out of it. And there is the picture of the first frost. I wrote frost in the frost. And a leaf with pretty frost around the edge. I added these gold, well, they're snowflakes, but I'm pretending they're frost crystals. And I used gold leaf ribbon because the back is like a tone-on-tone white and it has gold flecks in it, which may be hard to see. There we go. And on the back of the flip, I have the leaf, which I Mod Podge with Sparkle Mod Podge, and have a little gold leaf here. Put it in this little acetate bag to preserve it. And this is from a Quaking Aspen, so I did a little nature journal page over there. I added some gold glitter glue and gold gouache around the edge. And these were letters I had that were very bright, shiny gold. So I decided to frost them up a little bit and put some of the gold glitter glue and gold gouache on there, just so they weren't like solid gold. Frost them up a little bit. And so that is the very last page. And this was supposed to be early autumn. So from the end of August all the way into, well, this is October 19th, but it's not always in order, October 9th. Yeah, so this is like September into October, even though it was just supposed to be August into September. It was a lot of fun putting it together. And after this one, I finished the October journal that I started last year. So the rest of October is in a different journal, and that journal is also finished up. So that'll be the next Friday flip through, or flip through Friday. So I will link Christina down at the shack below. And if you'd like to join us on doing chatty flip throughs of your journals, now they can be completed journals like I do with all journaling in it, or maybe you've just created a journal and you'd like to flip through and tell us all about it before you journal in it. Either way is fine. So you can just put these hashtags on there, and if you link our channels, we'd appreciate it much. Again, that's Christina with her Flip Through Friday, and Possum Patty with her Friday Flip Through, which is basically the same thing. Okay, so thanks for coming along today, and I want to wish everybody happy junk journaling. Bye-bye.